Which spring training is better, Florida, Arizona? Arizona, it's not even remotely close. Arizona's 10 times better. Also, how does it work out when you have teams have shared spring training facility? All their facilities are separated. So like they both have it's like cordoned off. They both have almost all of their own facilities that they use, like weight rooms. I actually don't know how the weight room overlaps. They might share some of the weight room stuff, but like training rooms are separate, locker rooms are separate, food rooms are separate, everything's separate in that way. And then they just share it's the field that they're sharing mostly. That's just what it is. That's the big investment. So the resource around the field, the facility is twice as big as it normally would be for like a single place. Basically, that's how it works. Can you pull old players? Can you pull up your pitcher stats? Yes, I can. I can pull up all StatCast data all the way back to where it was recorded in 2015. And then I can pull up historical data all the way back to like 1871. So I have all of Baseball Reference's stat set and all of StatCast's stat set, and they both update regularly every day. So this will all be regular. I can keep it up. But like the report system is the thing I'm going to be using, and then I've built out a visualizations engine. So you're going to start seeing some custom like rendered stuff on YouTube videos, and maybe even on the live show. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it comes together. It's interesting. I've built 3 things with Claude Code recently. Okay, spring training performance matters. I think spring training performance only matters for the young guys, because competitiveness and intent changes based on what you're projecting for the year. So if you know you have a role in a team, your effort doesn't matter as much, like your performance doesn't matter as much because you're not putting in your 100% like balls to the wall effort because it's stupid to do so because you can save it for the season. But guys who are like competing for a spot, they're working as hard as they can. They're trying to be peaking at the right time to make a team. That is what matters more. Any thoughts on why the Twins organization seems to be plagued with injuries to star players yearly? I genuinely don't know. I'm going to say this. I think very few chronic injury problems are because of like lack of knowledge by a training staff or proper modalities. I think that everyone can keep people healthy. I think there's a lot of luck involved, and I also think there's a lot of pressure being put to handle injuries differently. For example, the Dodgers could be saying they get hurt all the time. No, they just pull their players off the field the moment they feel anything. Like that's why you feel that way. You feel like guys are injured more is because they're publicly saying guys are injured more. But they're probably not physically hurt more than other guys. They just go on the IL for less than other teams do. Like if you can't afford, for example, Giancarlo Stanton, he's like, I'm just gonna play through this. I'm just gonna play through my tennis elbow. Every player is making that distinction. So like how safe you feel in your organization to say you're hurt or you're not matters a lot. That is what it comes down to more. So like I will say the Twins at the same time, they want to make sure they don't have catastrophic injuries. But again, when you have big injuries, sometimes it's just luck. Sometimes it's just timing. Sometimes it's just what you're doing out of the gate. But like for the most part, the gap between like training rooms from team to team does not vary as much as you think it does. It really doesn't. And I think training staffs get way more shit than they should. Way more. Have you thought of coaching? I have thought of coaching, but I want to coach in my way. It's 2 things. I'm going to show it again. Here we go again. So you can see I have a bunch of these little apps. This is for like researching stuff for media, but also I have the ability to create scouting reports for players directly. I could send them to them directly. And this is a portal where people with guys I work with could actually have an account and I can send them a report from it. Visualizations is I can show you concepts I'm talking about. Models are for matchups. Mechanics are going to be for I'm building a biomechanics lab in my new spot. It's going to be half of it's going to be a pitching. I haven't rolled this out because I haven't announced it because it's going to be kind of an invite only situation in the beginning. But like I am going to do coaching. It's just not going to be traveling with the team. So I don't want to travel with the team. I would like to consult players directly on their careers and not work with the team. Does that make sense? I like work directly with the team. Give guys tools, my custom tools that I used when I played, and then help them understand and then customize it for what they want. That is what I want to do. I want to work with high-level big leaguers. I want to work with like high-level players, but I would also like to work with high school kids and college guys as best I can too. But like how that's going to work out, I don't know. But I am building that in that spirit, in that direction. That's where I want to go. I'm excited about it. Okay, if you had to pick one person to challenge Shohei for MVP, who do you pick? I'd go RAGA. Challenge NL MVP. Oh yeah, it's Ronald Acuna. Yeah, 100%. He's a dark horse to have another crazy year, by the way. He's a dark horse to have another crazy year. You know what? I'll say it. I'm okay with him dropping his stolen bases to 25 a year. Like, we don't need him to steal 50. Just stay healthy, brother. Nick Pivetta, Cy Young, a dark horse. I wouldn't say Cy Young dark horse, but I would say top 10 pitcher. Yeah, I think that Nick Pivetta has been quietly very good for the last couple of years. Very good. And he's had some windows where he was really, 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 really good. The one issue with Pivetta and the way that he throws is he's very high ride, but he's straight over the top, and he's just breaking balls and fastballs up. The problem with that is, as a starter, you're just going to give up homers. And then if you're not feeling good for a couple starts in a row, you're going to give up a bunch of homers. And that's just, at the end of the day, that is what he gets got by most of the time. It's just home runs. But that's just the nature of him pitching. Like, it's kind of unavoidable. If you are running the Pirates, would Griffin break camp? That is very interesting. So, a couple things you need to realize about him breaking camp. If he breaks camp, his clock starts, he'll be a Super 2. So he'll go to ARB 4 years in a row. He's a middle infielder. So, no. If you want your team to be better, yes, but I don't think they're on the cusp either, so no, I wouldn't start him on the team. He won't start on the team. He shouldn't start on the team. But I'm not a big fan of people manipulating service time either, but like, that is what, they're not going to start it because there's just no benefit. They're not like quite there yet. If he were like the last piece, like we're just missing a shortstop to do they would do that. But like, if they're going to start his clock and have to pay him a year early in ARB, and then that's just going to, that's how they think. If they can avoid giving him another year of arbitration, as you know, the Pirates are big on saving $2 million over 6 years. So that's it. Got a face made for hockey? 100%, dude. I even already have a chipped front tooth. And a fake, my other one's fake because I got hit in the face with an airsoft gun. You're right, I do have a face for hockey. But I'm from the Northwest, man. We don't really do hockey up here. And I would have only kind of been a goon. I am massive. I don't know if you knew that, but I'm 6'5", 260 pounds. That's a little bit too big to like be good at hockey. What appearance made you the most nervous, and how did you perform? That would be September 11th, 2021, and I blew it. Stands out in my mind, gave up a 2-run homer to Aaron Judge to tie the game in the 8th. It was on the 20th anniversary of 9/11. So, what was the most superstitious player you knew? Did the exact same thing before every match? Everyone. Dude. Baseball players are we are the most superstitious dudes. The whole thing with Jobu and, the Cuban player, I mean, I know it was a Latin voodoo thing, that's iffy, but like the idea that like superstition and like whatever, it's crazy. It's crazy. I played with guys who would stop wearing things under their jersey the longer their slump went on. So like they would start with they'd stop wearing an undershirt. Then they would stop wearing sliders. Then they would stop wearing socks. Guys would do crap like that. Every time I came out of the dugout, I'd walk up the same way. When I would go out, take the mound, hop over the same foot, all that kind of stuff. But I also put on my pants first, and then my jersey, my undershirt next, and then my cinch up the pants, get the cleats perfect ready before I put the top on. I wouldn't put the top on until right before I went out. Like all that stuff, you get so routine and oriented because it's the same day. It's like Groundhog's Day, over and over and over again. So you don't even realize what's happening most of the time. But then when something gets messed up, you're like, ah! And you're like, oh wait, I'm a little bit too dependent on this. So yeah, I'd say to answer your question, the most superstitious person I've ever seen. Oh, there's guys fidgety as hell. I mean, Nomar Garciaparra's got it. I don't even know if these are superstitions or not, if they're just crazy tics. Like, it's hard to tell sometimes. No one really stands out because everyone's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, it's all normal. It feels normal to where I'm having trouble recalling anything. Let me keep chewing on it. If I remember anything before we're done, I'll go back to it. Is the Jonah Tong Tim Lincecum comp valid? Yes, it is. Size, arm action, arm angle, and also pitch arsenal. Lincecum threw a slider, but he threw a curveball 12-6. He threw a splitter or a split change the same way, and he threw a really high ride heater. And then they also have similar mechanics. So yeah, it's a very good comp. As a developing pitcher, should you emphasize your strengths or work on your weaknesses? You're gonna hate this answer, both. And what I mean by that is the way you should think of that question is they're both important, but the degree in which they are important at any given time varies. And so understanding where the limits are, finding the limits, the potential of those things is your goal. Shouldn't be I'm gonna set my mind and say, I'm only working on my strengths or I'm only working on my weaknesses. You should just be okay, is building my strengths is going to probably go faster because they already have some strength there, and weaknesses is probably going to go slower. But then you have to determine where the ceiling might be. So I would say start, like if you're taking a day and you're like, I'm going to work on both things. I'm going to work on something that I'm weak at, something that I'm strong at. That's a good way to approach it. Start with the weak thing, do the hard thing first, and then hone the easier thing. So always touch on both, but spend more time on weaknesses until you feel like you're like, okay, now I'm hitting a wall where now the weaknesses are so hard I'm not progressing. Maybe that's where we got to go, and then keep working on the strengths. And then that process as a young guy, learning how to do that, just rinse and repeat it. Once you see it that way, you get pretty good pretty quickly. So that's what we mean by focus on the process. That's the process I would say. Hit the weaknesses first, but always touch on the strengths. Always maintain the strengths and work on them a little bit. And then when you go and compete, when you're out there and you're competing with the guy, do it with your strengths. When in doubt, what am I good at? When in doubt, what am I good at? When in doubt, what am I good at? Say it 3 times, like Beetlejuice. What is the one thing you wish you were better at as a player? Ooh, that is such a good question. That's such a good question. Okay, I'll give you 2 answers. 1, I wish I would have enjoyed my success more. So towards the end of my career, especially like the last 3 years, when I was supposed to be in my prime and really feeling myself be a veteran, I was feeling more relief that I didn't fail than excitement that I had succeeded. That sucked. I wish I would have leaned into like the fun of it more and not been so like life or death all the time. I had other stuff going on, so it was understandable that I was away, but that is one regret I have. And there's guys who like just, that's the way they are. They just like being around and it's great and they never have that problem, and I'm envious of that. But the big thing, now that I do this job, I talk about like really interesting ways to have success or like to take chances on the mound or whatever. And I never really took any chances. I never like did a Granky thing where I was like, ooh, I'm gonna throw a backdoor slider randomly. I'm just gonna try it and see what happens. Like I never did that. And that's kind of the, like where I have an idea like, oh, I just threw a wild pitch up here. Maybe I could throw a pitch off and land a breaking ball. In reality, I just went back to like, what's the perfect one I want? Like I was very like narrow in my focus, and I was afraid to take any big chances on the mound. I wish I would have done that more because I think I could have done. I think the truly great pitchers develop that skill where like in a moment, they have a crazy idea that they believe will work, and then they try it and it works. That kind of stuff, that's courage, that's where greatness happens, that's where like amazing moments happens. And I just never did that. I tried to be as safe as possible, but once again, anxious dude, always like worried about failing. So like, why you know, that's they're connected. I wish I would have done that more, for sure. That would have been better. Question about sinkers at Coors. Can you go into more detail about why they aren't as effective there? Is it only because their lack of break? Yes. So the reason they are not effective, here's some science for you. Let me just channel my Hank Green. Glasses on. Okay, I'm nerd moded out. I've been nerd moded the whole time, but any object in space is being pushed on air from every direction. There's air pushing on this pencil, there's air pushing on our bodies, there's air, either on top of us or whatever. Actually, technically, air pressure helps keep us closer to the ground. So like you can technically jump higher where there's less air, technically. Everything else in a vacuum, you can jump higher. So air matters for a baseball, as you can imagine. There's laces on a baseball because you're supposed to be able to manipulate the ball with using air. And in Colorado, there's like, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the air pressure on average is like 25 to 30% lower than it is at sea level. So like in say Anaheim. And then there's like Salt Lake's the same thing. Like it's high desert, you're on a plateau, you're just really high up in the air comparatively. And if you go half a mile up, it drastically goes down. It's like a lot. So when that happens, there's less air for the seams to catch, which a lot of sinkers slow down their spin, which means they're chopping the air more. And so that's why seam shifting a sinker makes it drop like crazy. But seam shifted wake needs really heavy air. Seam shifted wake probably works really well in Florida where it's humid and the air is heavy, okay? Then you go up there, now you don't have the air to manipulate. So the air you're making the wake in, there's 30% less of it. So it kind of just like, it's not as unpredictable, it's more predictable, and it goes so it moves less and at a more consistent rate. That is very easy to hit. That is why sinkers don't work. That is why like most things that don't move do, except for gyros. Gyros don't actually cut air. They are inefficient spins. So you want actual inefficient spins. Same thing with a splitter. Splitter doesn't cut air either. It's actually it's trying to move through the air randomly. It's trying to make it random. We're trying to cut through an air at a nice path or catch any air to move the ball. So like, because normal gyro sliders and splitters don't use those two things as much. There is a little bit, obviously, you're throwing a ball through air, but like, they're not dependent on them for being good. They both are much less affected by the lack of air. And same thing with ride on a four-seam fastball. It's hard to ride a ball when there's no air underneath the ball. So like fastballs in general, you just can't get that extra movement because there's less air to use. Also, when you're throwing velocity, there's less air pushing against the ball too, so it slows down less on its way home. So like it maintains its velocity about 20% more, which means if you throw 100, it looks like 98 when it gets to the plate as opposed to 96. That kind of stuff. So gyro is a mistake slider? No, gyro is a type of slider. Gyro is what we call the classic slider spin, the bullet spin. That's what gyro sliders are. That's what they're called now because sweepers exist. Sweepers and gyros have completely different mechanics when they're spinning. There's different spins, different things affect them, different things make them move. Gyro sliders are your classic Brad Lidge dropping slider thing. So the humidor is a joke? A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Now that's mostly, okay, so so humidors are so that the ball also absorbs water. It's made of leather and a bunch of twine in the middle. So like, basically what happens is if there's no moisture on the ball ever, it's harder. But if it's there's tons of moisture on it, it like the inside expands and then the ball becomes irregular. So it kills the drag. That's why they humidify. They're trying to get the ball exposed to the same amount of moisture everywhere before the game starts. In Chase Field, if they just played with normal balls, they'd be rock hard and they would fly forever, which is what's happening. And the ball flies there anywhere because it's Arizona, it's high, up in the air, it's high desert-ish, and there's very little air and there's no humidity either. So it's like, that's three things making the ball go farther, and they're like, we got to stop this. That's what humidity is. Why doesn't anyone throw the gyro ball? You mean the one that doesn't move? They do. We just don't call it a gyro ball. Weird question. Do you still pitch if you didn't had Tommy John? Maybe throw a knuckleball? I'd still pitch if I wanted to. I'm getting in shape again, by the way. Trevor Throws Cheese is coming back, and I have a really exciting finale of that series to announce soon. We haven't like locked it in yet, so I don't want to tell you guys something that isn't guaranteed to happen yet, but it is happening. I'm actually getting in shape with a bunch of indie ball guys before they leave. I've already started throwing. I'm like 2 weeks in. We're gonna announce it. We're doing a glove giveaway soon too. So like, just stay. If you guys follow me everywhere, you'll see it. But yeah, I bet you I could still pitch in the big leagues now. I'd probably throw 93, 94, and I wouldn't be as effective, and I'd just be probably a vet on his way out. But like, I think I could. Do you listen to any team-specific podcasts outside of the ones you're affiliated with? A little bit, Jodo. A little bit. Who would you rather face in the bat? Mason Miller or Aroldis Chapman? Yikes. Bro. I'd say Chapman right now. The only reason is maybe I catch him on a day he's throwing 97. So that I can strike out and it'll be over, and I just won't be as scared while I strike out. Like, it doesn't matter which one I face. I'm Henry Rodengartner in the back. Like, we're not even playing this game. I'm not even gonna compete. I'm not even gonna try. But Mason Miller's got that slider that I think he would make me look dumber. I don't know. It's exactly equal, but I'll give him the edge because he is throwing 102 every pitch. Like, he never has a day when he's 96. He throws 100 every single time. What's one routine that you do when you're still a pro that you still do this day? Dude, you guys are dude. The questions today are fire. These are great interview questions. What's one routine that I do? One thing I still do is I still do like the health supplements that I used to do. I still do them all, which I don't know how much that had to do with baseball. But like, I take a sleep supplement. I do like, the normal stuff, fish oil, omega-3s, vitamin D, because we're in Northwest and you need vitamin D. Stuff like that. So that's probably the thing I do the most consistently. Yeah, that's really it. And then I look at stats just as much as I did probably, but that's for this. Is there anything you learned in Little League that you consider great advice for kids other than try your best and have fun? Okay, so maybe I never heard this explicitly said in Little League, but I think that it is, especially with the way that everything is now, because I don't know if you guys knew this, but youth sports are worth $40 billion these days, which means there is a lot of rich people who are looking around and seeing parents with kids that play sports with dollar signs in their eyes. I think it was the hitting guy, or one of the owners of 108 Performance, And he said, so a kid asked, how can I improve my swing? What should I get? What video should I watch? Whatever. And he said, buddy, at your age, here's what I want you to do. Pick up a bunch of different weird things that we can use as a bat. Like pick up your bat, pick up your big brother's bat, try using a big wood bat, try using like a pole, try using a PVC pipe, and then try to hit weird things at targets. Try to hit bottle caps, try to hit small little wiffle balls, try to hit actual tennis balls, try to hit actual wiffle balls, try to hit baseballs, try to manipulate a bat to hit a ball as much as possible. Make up your own games, make up different versions of baseball, do that kind of stuff, and do it as much as you can. That will teach you more about what you need to do to hit as you get older than anything I can tell you. And I was like, dude, yes! So like same thing with pitching. Be athletic. Even if you're a pitcher only, or even if you don't play shortstop, go take balls at shortstop and throw from different angles. Enjoy yourself. Find things that work that like, how do I get the ball to move this way? How do I get the ball to move this way? Throw a tennis ball into the wall and play. Like, just play. Make sure there's still play. Make up your own warm-ups. Like, challenge yourself to make things up, especially when you're younger. That stuff is awesome because then, it gets more serious as you go and some stuff sticks with you. Sometimes you learn skills you would never learn because you're hyper-specific too young. I was lucky. I grew up in the 90s. That's all we had. But now, the way my brain works, I would have got overloaded. I don't know if I would be here. If I were 12 right now, I would have had no chance probably because I'm just so like interested in everything. There's so much information. Would you tap your head to trust your catcher? Trust your catcher. 100%. I would never tap my head. I called it getting Nito'd. Tomas Nido got me twice an outing where I was just hot at the umpire and I go, look, I'm like, dude, that's 6 inches off the plate. What am I mad at? I feel like an idiot. Yeah, catchers know. Most pitchers are going to do it unless it's absolutely egregious and you have a rookie behind the plate who's afraid. That's it. The only time it's going to be, like Chris Sale says he's never going to do it, but if Chris Sale has a guy's second start ever or whatever, he's barely been in the big leagues at all, and he's terrified to use any of the challenges, the confidence-wise, that's the only time he'll ever do it. It's just to help his catcher out, to have some confidence. That's it. But if I have Cal Raleigh, I'm like, Cal, what do you got? What will the Astros need to be World Series competitors again? Really good players. They got to build that core up again. Altuve's old. Pereira's still there, but he's getting older, right? But Bregman's gone. Springer's gone. They need Tucker's gone. They need their next group of guys like Cam Smith, and these guys need to turn into a new core. So that's number one. But I always think they're going to compete. I don't think they're ever going to be like gone because they're well run. They're well run. They know how to develop players, but they need to get their next young core. That's the next step. For a while there, like they handed off to Jeremy Pena. He took over when Correa left. Like they did it well for a while, but I think now that Framber's gone, we're not rebuilding, but we're probably in between cores. That's just all it is. Can the Orioles turn things around? They finally have some clubhouse leaders, backup talent they have. Bassett and Alonso. It's so funny you say that. Bassett's the leader. I love Pete, but he's not the most vocal of leaders. Maybe he is now. I don't know. But yeah, having two veteran guys like that is going to be big for them because all those young guys came up, they were successful right away, and then they had a clunker of a year. So how do you bounce back from that? You can get stuck in the morass and stay there for a long time if you don't address it. I think those guys will help a lot, especially Chris Bassett, bro. He is unfazed. He just went to the World Series. He's been on a lot of good teams. He knows what's going on, and he is not afraid to say what he wants. And Pete is just going to post numbers. He's going to make the guys hitting in front of him better. I think the best thing that ever happened to Adley Rutschman is Pete Alonso. So yeah, I'm hopeful. I am high on the Orioles. What's a belief you used to have about baseball you've changed your mind on over the years? Maybe not a belief. I used to believe a whole lot of like the rah-rah, you can just try your hardest and something will happen, right? But baseball is different in a lot of ways. Like hustle doesn't translate the same way. Like in basketball, right? You can be Pat Bev. You can just chase people around and be really good at defense, and you can have a spot if you don't do the offensive side well. Just having a lot of energy and never giving up is a big advantage in football too, but in basketball a lot. Or soccer, that'd be a great example too. You're just willing to run longer than everybody else. You're gonna have a level of success. It doesn't work like that in baseball, so that was one thing. And two, I learned how to like separate platitudes from like, it's just this, guys. This is what you do. And then they just like leave. There's a lot of that, like, just keep it simple, stupid. What does that mean? What do you mean? And I had to run into a lot of coaches that just said stuff before I realized that doesn't work. That it's not just all about like this, like having epiphanies all the time. It's always about that, like the how and the why. Like why would we do that? And then how do we do it? Like, if that's not there, then it's not really that helpful. Seems simple, but you'd be blown away. I sit there and watch coaches. I'm like, you just said nothing in 10 minutes. Nothing. There's every kid in here, eyes glazed over, and that you gave them nothing actionable. Nothing. You just said a bunch of stuff that made you feel like you're saying something smart. And there's a lot of that. Big Meat Pete. Yes. Do you think the Jays are at the disadvantage of signing free agents because players don't want to play in Canada? No. Players like Canada. It has nothing to do with playing in Canada. It just has to do with, first of all, if your family's not coming with you, there's a bunch of travel stuff involved. There's a bunch of tax stuff involved. It's a country with different laws and different things. It's a heavy lift to get used to. So, like, unless you're going to be on that team for a long period of time, it feels daunting, feels like a lot. So that's mostly what it is. And then there's tax implications. Their taxes are higher. How that works, there's just additional resources you have to get in order to play in Canada. That's honestly all it really is. But that might limit like your one-year deals a little bit. But yeah, that's what it is. Everyone actually is like, we all love Toronto. Everyone loves Toronto, the city. Everyone loves the fans. Everyone loves the atmosphere. Everyone loves the ballpark. Everyone loves the facilities. Everyone loves the food. Everything's great about everything there. It just comes down to those things. So that's probably why you only get the really big contracts going there. When did you feel the most physically fit? When you were playing the best, youngest? And did you feel vastly different now? Yeah, I definitely feel vastly different now. I felt the best probably in 2019, and then 2021 I got in really good shape, and then my last year I was in really, really good shape towards the end. It has something to do with, I'm usually in the best shape when I'm pitching the best. So those 3 years were like where I was feeling the most physically strong, and I avoided injury. For the most part, like my body felt good pretty much all year, and I got in a really good weightlifting program during the season to keep me in shape. Yeah, I felt strong, and now I feel weak. So I'm getting dad strong from holding a anvil of a baby. He's not a baby. He's almost 2, bro. He's not almost 2. No, he's 17 months tomorrow. I also have dad brain. Whoa. And he's about 6 foot, 130 already. Have you ever have her give any nicknames? Oh, everyone gets a nickname. It's always something stupid. My nickname was Lurch. It's always Mayday. It's Mayday, Lurch, and in high school it was Marmaduke, which is based on a newspaper comic about a Great Dane stumbling around. So, but it's always like Mayday, Mazer, May, like it's just a play on your last name. Everyone has one. Big Amish, cool stuff like that. How do the facilities at historic ballparks like Wrigley and Fenway compare to newer modern stadiums? About 10 years ago, Fenway and Wrigley sucked ass. Fenway still, it's updated. It's just tiny. It's about space. So there's just no space. Though they have expanded the clubhouse by taking away some other facilities. So Wrigley's gotten much better. The bullpens have gotten better. But like, in Fenway, there's nowhere to put anything. You can't you can't expand the bullpens. You can't do anything about anything. So it's so tiny. It's so tiny. Are you gonna teach your kid to throw cheese? If he wants to, but he can also play the trombone if you want. I don't know. Well, he can play an instrument if he wants. He loves music. He's way into music. Music and Bluey. Hell, I'm into Bluey. Bluey's one of the best shows ever. I love that thing. Do you think any WBC teams, other than the obvious USA, DR, Japan, maybe Venezuela, could be a playoff team over 162? That's a good one. Cuba? Cuba might? Or Mexico? Maybe Cuba or Mexico? I always want to say the Netherlands, but they never have any pitching. There's like no Curaçaos that are pitchers for some reason. Were there stadiums that had terrible lighting for pitching? Oh no. There's no bad lighting for pitching, but no, all the stadiums lighting is crazy. It's like you're being flashbanged. It's as bright as it could get. There's no bad lit stadiums anymore. Okay, Kenley Jensen. Well, it's rare then, okay? You open the bottle, favorite Bluey character? Dude, it's Bandit. Are you kidding me? I'm him. I am him. That is exactly how I parent. I literally model myself after Bandit. Also, I think Lucky's dad's pretty funny. What do you think Banzana's chance of making Guardians open today? Is he second baseman? I don't think he makes it open today, but I think he's up real quick. Yeah, again, Guardians are a team that just don't start guys' clocks right away if they can avoid it, man. He's another thing. He's just not, they're just not going to do that. Sorry. Give us your Team USA dark horse for player to contribute. I think Logan Webb's going to shove. Bobby Witt Jr., he's going to be nasty. Favorite individual pitcher's pitch? Devin's changeup, Sale's slider, Subel's changeup. I like Subel's changeup because it's exactly the same as mine. That's how I like everything. I love Mason Miller's slider. God, it's nice. God, it's sweet. Spencer Strider's slider when he's right is great. It's really fun to watch. Honestly, you know what my favorite pitch in the league is to watch guys try to hit? Roki Sasaki's splitter as a reliever. Reliever, Roki Sasaki forkball. So fun. Love it. That's probably my favorite pitch in the league right now.